Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Cheap Air's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. What you're looking at up there is something that kept me awake all night, and I fixed it, so I won't do that anymore because the winds are still blowing, as you can see up there, and you might even hear them. I've got my windproof mic on today, but don't know if it's going to do any good because we got these gusts coming on and off. It's supposed to die down for the weekend though. Hopefully it does, so I can get some work done around here, for crying out loud. Anyway, what was happening was the wind is coming from my back right now, and it was getting in between the gutter and the fascia. And it was actually making the gutter act like a wind instrument reed, where it's vibrating. And it was a loud hum all night long. Get louder, go softer. Get louder, go softer. Oh my gosh. Didn't get much sleep. And I've been off my game lately anyway, but still, I had to do something. So I got a piece of plumber's tape. That's that metal strap up there. Shot a screw in the top, brought it down around and tied it off, and shot 2 screws into the wood so that it won't vibrate anymore. And oh my God, is it much better listening to that thing now. I don't even have to block my eardrums. But it was vibrating the whole cabin. That was the worst part about it. And what a noise that was. It was irritating as could be. Another thing is I'm thinking about, and I'll tell you why in a little while, but I'm thinking about adding a window air conditioner in that window right there. And because that is the only one that slides up and down, all the others slide side to side. And that one, when I put it in for the bedroom, I built it right through the wall. But I'm going to get my measurements, carry them with me, and if I see a good price on probably a 50,000 BTU that'll fit that window, I'm going to get it. And then I'll move this slop sink over to here and get all this stuff out of here, clean that all up, and I'm going to put the slop sink against that wall because it just drains into a bucket anyway, and I take the bucket over to the trees and water the trees with that. And most of the time I use this for washing my hands before I take laundry off the line or anything, or wash out tomcats, food bowls, things like that. So I think that'll be a better thing. And then I want to put a little counter or table type counter right there. But I got to get something that's going to be waterproof, that isn't going to fall apart in the first rain. Because when I come outside to hang my clothes on the dryer, I like to sit well, right now I'm just setting it on top of the trash can. But that's not a flat surface, and sometimes it wants to tip over. I gotta go wash clothes again. So I want to put a little counter there that I can use when I'm hanging clothes, and when I take them off, if the wind isn't blowing, I can take them off of there, and I can fold them before I put them into my laundry basket and take them inside and put them away. That's the next thing. Okay, so let me see what else I got here. Oh, yeah. So I was on the phone with FedEx, and remember, customers, your Fed excuses. I was on the phone with FedEx, and I had to file a claim against the damage on my Ames inverter. And they took all the information and then said something I didn't want to hear. Oh, it'll be about a week before you hear from anybody. What? I already waited an extra week to get my delivery, and I've been wanting to get this inverter installed because I'm having trouble with my pump knocking my power out. And it always does it at the worst time, you know. I get up in the morning, brush my teeth, all of a sudden, boop, there's no power. Got to go outside to the battery room and turn the power back on. I decided that I was going to do it myself. So I opened up the cover on the Ames, and if anybody was going to argue with me, I would say, look, You assholes have been, oh, did I use a bad word? You buttholes have been really screwing me around, and I'm sick of it. So you're not going to hold it against me and void my warranty because I opened this case. I have to get this thing installed. So I did. And what I found inside was a bent bus bar. It wouldn't have made any difference really if I'd have just hooked it up as it was, but I did not like that damaged look to the outside, the crooked bolt coming out on a 30-degree angle instead of straight out and rattling all up and down. I did not like that. So it took a good hit when somebody dropped it, and what can I say? So I did pull out the PowerJack, and here's the PowerJack. Now, if you remember inside of the room, the PowerJack was always upside down. I was on that side looking this way at it, so the numbers were always upside down because that's the way it had to fit in the room, because the DC connections were on this end and the AC connections were on this end. Okay, so now I'm looking at this thing, and I see all this thing down in here, and it's talking about all the different things that this thing will run. And it says right here, air or water pump, not over 1200 watts. Well, guess what? The water pump I have is rated at 1200 watts, 120 volts, 10 amps. Remember, amps times volts gives you watts. So 120 times 10 is 1200. So that's right at the limit of what the water pump should have been running at. But the problem was that there was a surge on startup. So I'm sure the surge jumped just over 1200, and that's what was causing this thing to kick out. Of course, this also only has, it says that it's got a 32,000 watt peak surge. Liars, it's 16. This is 4. One of the things I noticed when I was taking this out was that this one is only half the weight of the Ames 4000 LF. Okay, only half the weight, but they're claiming double the output. That in itself should say somebody's lying. Somebody's lying somewhere. There's no way in the world that this thing could be half the weight and have twice the output, because to make an inverter, you have to have a big coil of copper wire wrapped around this big box of metal that the electricity goes through, in a current goes through the heavier wire and goes out the lower wire, and it changes it either up or down depending on which way it's going. All right, so these guys are lying, but I can't say too much about them because I've been running this one since 2016, and it's been doing fine for everything else, except it just won't run the big water pump. That's what was causing it to pop out all the time. So I'm thinking that I'm going to clean this thing up and save it, because possibility down the line, I'm thinking that I might even build a little one-room guest cabin with a double bed so 2 people can sleep in it, and something that maybe even folds up against the wall to get out of the way, and a little kitchenette inside. So if I have somebody that wants to visit and they don't have a motorhome to stay in, they can come and stay in the little guest cabin. And I'll run water over to it, and I'll put a heater in there, things like that. So it'll be all self-contained, just right. Of course, I don't have to run any of that stuff for long periods of time, because I'm not going to have somebody there all the time. It's just when somebody decides to come up for a weekend or a week or something like that. So that's my plan, and depending on how prices on building materials go, we'll see how I do that. I might have to buy cinder block and build with cinder block, but I haven't even checked the price on that lately. Anybody out there want to run a quick check on that, put it in the comment section below. So anyway, that was one of the things that I did, was I got this out and I got my Ames repaired, and I got my Ames installed. So we're going to go in here and look at that. Wow. Well, one of the things that the Ames said, because it has these perforated openings on the sides, it says minimum of 5 inches all the way around. So I had to enlarge the shelf that I had it on and put it in there. Now, I've got 2 number 6s on here, and I should have a number 4, a single number 4 for each one instead of 2 number 6s. So I will be buying the wire I need, and I'll change that out because that goes into the main panel. I have to do that. I just want to clean that up a little bit and get the power up there. Now these 3 right here are for AC input. So I can make up a plug rig that goes into there and then have a 240 volt plug that I can just plug into my generator anytime I want, fire up the generator, and it will turn this into a battery charger and charge my battery banks while it's powering the house. That's pretty cool, huh? It also has a connector on it for automatic electric start, which is on the other side. So if you have an electric start generator, it'll fire it up automatically if you have a power outage. But guess what? I don't have power outages. I'm not on the grid. I'm off grid. If I have a power outage, something's wrong, big time. Anyway, this thing has lights on it, and this little dial right here, the numbers, I read the book, page to page, cover to cover, 2 times to make sure I knew everything. That little thing, I got it set at 0 because what that does is it changes, you change that to set what type of batteries you're using to charge. Whether you're using lithium batteries, flooded, sealed, AGM, whatever type of battery there's a different number designation for each. Since I'm not using it as a battery charger, I set it to 0, and that turns off the battery charging feature on this thing. So right now, the inverter mode light is on because that's what I'm doing. I'm on the inverter load, and that's where it'll stay. Now here has a power on and a power save switch. Now in those days when it gets shorter in the winter when we don't have as much sunlight, you put this to power save, and what it does is it cuts off everything that doesn't have to run through the inverter and saves power. It takes it down to like 50 watts that's going to go through this thing until there's a demand. Refrigerator kicks on. Well, all of a sudden it goes back to its inverter stage and gives you the power that you need to run the refrigerator or to run the water pump or whatever is going to be running. So that's a neat little feature. I also had that on the PowerJack, but I never used it because the Chinese instruction manual didn't tell me how to use it. So now I do know how to use it. All right. So I've got my ground wire tied into this, and I got my case grounded just like it's supposed to be. And this thing turned on. They tell you before you power anything on the AC side to turn it on and let it to come up to full charge inside. Fill all the wires with electricity. Get them full, you know, like filling up your gas tank. Fill them up. So anyway, that's a neat little thing. And then I had all the breakers inside at my breaker panel shut off. And I went in and I turned them on one at a time. And the whole time I did that, it did nothing. Now we're coming here almost towards sunset right now. And since I hooked up this Ames, what a difference, okay? Look at this. Float. I'm still float. This has been on float all day long. It's been floating because I'm not using any electricity. So what I did was I ran a test. I went inside, turned on my air conditioner, turned on the 2 TV sets, Opened the refrigerator door so that the refrigerator would turn on and run. I put a big container of water in the microwave and I set it on 15 minutes. Then I went in the different rooms. I turned on 3 ceiling fans. I turned on all of the lights in the cabin. So I had everything that was electrical in the cabin was turned on and running. Every little thing that I could even think of was running in there. My computers, I had my laptop and my main desktop computer. I have my security camera system running. You name it. My routers, all that stuff, everything was plugged in and running. So what happened? I went in and took a shower. And I didn't have any power outages. Yahoo! Yeah, it didn't even flicker. I came out of the shower and dried off. I came out into the living room and I walked over to, on the inside of the wall here, I have one of the Harbor Freight controllers so I can see what the battery ratings are. And I was still on float. Even I had everything running through this Ames inverter, and I was still on float. Wow! Now that's what I call nice. All right. So another thing was, yesterday I came in here after dark because I had another power outage, just washing dishes. The pump kicked on, kicked the power out. So I came in here and I looked over here, and there's the voltage coming in from my big solar panels out there. And the sun had already set. It was down. So the only thing left was ambient light. And this was still reading 86.6 volts being put in. So those amorphous panels are definitely a good thing. And this is all stuff I wish I knew before I went off grid. I wish I'd have known that an Ames 4000 would have been better than a PowerJack 8000. Okay? I wish I'd have known that. I wish I'd have known that the Midnight Classic was a better solar controller than anything out there on the market. And I can say that with confidence because I've seen what it can do. All right? So just outstanding. The Rover comes in second, in my opinion, in this room. But I've heard that there are other units out there that are almost as good as the Midnight. And there'll be people that are arguing with me about that. But I like the Midnight. It's the only one I know of that you can either use it for solar or you can use it for a wind turbine. And that'll be my next move. I'll be switching, adding another Midnight Classic right here beside it, and that'll be the input. This rectifier stuff and all of that will go away, and I'll be doing the input through my Midnight Classic. But right now, with the winds blowing out there, you can see the input that I'm getting. Or can you? There we go. So I got plenty of electricity coming in, and this unit can disappear when I go to the Midnight on my turbine, and at that point I should be pretty well set up. Now, one other thing that a lot of people haven't seen yet, because it's been a long time, is right there, the BLS. Because I'm a 12 volt system, I've got the BLS 12N. So that's for a 12 volt system. What is that? It protects the batteries from sulfating. Don't ask me how it does, but I did read when I bought that back in 2016, actually 2015, but I started using it in 2016. I bought that thing because I read a report on it, and the military was using it in all of their vehicles. They had one under the hood of all their vehicles tied to the batteries. And what they claim that thing will do is the standard life of a car battery is 3 years. That's standard. Flooded lead acid, 3 years. That thing gives you 10 times the life. So you go from 3 years to 30 years. That sounds hard to believe, but the military tested them. They said, yes, it does work. They put it in all of their vehicles, so there you go. So I said, well, I'm getting one too. I think back then it was $79, something like that, when I bought it. I think they're probably up a little bit higher than that now because everything's going up higher. But there you go. That's one of the things that you should have when you go off grid. Get yourself a battery lifesaver. They make them in all the different voltages. They make them in 12, 24, 36, and 48. So get what you need. It's worth it. It's worth the extra money because you don't want to have to go buy this many batteries every 3 years. That would be ridiculous. So these batteries actually were shorted out, went all the way down to nothing, and I used that and my Viking charger. That's the Viking down there. That's the box to it down there. I used those two, or that Viking charger, on the repair mode to repair all of these batteries, and they're back up and running, full charge, as you can see. Got no problems running. They're on float at 13.5. 13.5. I got 12.8 amps, 12.7 amps coming in. So down to 81 volts. That means the sun must be right around on the horizon about now. So I'm going to call this one a day, everybody. Thanks for joining me. What else can I say? Love you guys. This is G Bear. Give me a thumbs up down there. Don't forget to subscribe and share with friends. G Bear signing off.